Good morning students, welcome you all for next generation learning. Today we are going to see the subject physics class 9 chapter 9 force and laws of motion. Under this chapter there are the 6 topics. 9.1 balanced and unbalanced forces, 9.2 first law of motion, 9.3 inertia and mass, 9.4 second law of motion, 9.5 third law of motion, 9.6 conservation of momentum. The last class we completed 9.1 balanced and unbalanced forces. Today's topics 9.2 first law of motion, 9.3 inertia and mass, 9.4 second law of motion. The first topic, Newton's first law of motion. The statement of Newton's first law of motion is a body at rest will remain at rest and a body in motion will continue in motion in a straight line with a uniform speed unless it is compelled by an external force to change its state of rest or of uniform motion. And this is the statement of first law of motion. Before going to explain this statement, you have to know the meaning of external force. The external force is nothing but the force from outside the body is called external force. The explanation of this law, a body at rest will remain at rest unless it is compelled by an external force. See this line. A body at rest will remain at rest unless it is compelled by an external force to change its state of rest. What is the meaning of this? Suppose a book is lying on the table. It is at rest. And the book will not move by itself. That means it cannot change its position of rest by itself. It can change its state of rest only when compelled by the force of our hands. That means when we lift the book from the table. So we can say the position of rest of the book has been changed only by the external force of our hands. From this we can say that a body at rest will remain at rest unless it is compelled by an external force. The next one, a body in motion will continue in motion unless it is compelled by an external force. See here, a body in motion will continue in motion unless it is compelled by an external force to change its state of uniform motion. Normally we know that when we stop pedaling a bicycle which is moving at a uniform speed and it comes to rest after some time. But if there is no air resistance, and there is no friction. If there is no friction and there is no air resistance means the motion of a bicycle according to the law, moving bicycle would go on moving forever. It would not stop after some time. So from this we can say that a body in motion will continue in motion unless it is compelled by an external force. The very important condition, when there is no air resistance and when there is no friction, means the moving body will continue in motion unless it is compelled by an external force. If maybe the air resistance or friction is there, means the moving body definitely come to rest after some time. So what is meant by inertia? The tendency of a body to remain at rest. In a first example we saw that the book lying on the table is rest. If moving to continue moving in a straight line is called inertia. The inertia is the property of a body to do which it resists a change in a state of rest or uniform motion. So every body having the inertia, because the body has only for two options, it may be rest or it may be motion. So the property of a body is called inertia. It always resists to change the state of rest or uniform motion. So how to measure the inertia? Mass is a measure of the inertia of your body. If body has more mass, it has more inertia. If a body has less mass, it has less inertia. Here I took cricket ball and plastic ball. But the size of the plastic ball and cricket ball is same. But the mass of the cricket ball is more than plastic ball. So the mass more means the inertia also more. The mass less means inertia also less, because mass is the measure of the inertia of your body. So a cricket ball has more inertia than the rubber ball of same size. So the inertia is only depends on the mass of the body. It does not depends on the size. And the inertia of your body depends on its mass. See here, a toy car has small mass. So small mass means it has small inertia and can be easily moved by pushing. But a real car has a large mass. And a large mass means it has a large inertia. So it is quite difficult to move by pushing. Do you understand? The inertia of your body is measured with the mass. If more mass means inertia also more. If a less mass means inertia also less. From the above discussion we conclude that to overcome the inertia and make a body move from rest, we must apply an external force. So if maybe the body is a rest means applying the external force we can change the state of rest. Otherwise we cannot change the state of rest. So to overcome the inertia we have to apply some external force. Simple experiment to illustrate Newton's first law of motion. We have to take glass tumbler and place thick square cord on its mouth. A coin is then placed above this cord in the middle. Now flick the cord with our fingers. You have to flick the cord with our fingers. On flicking, the cord move away, but the coin drop into the glass tumbler. Why? Initially, both the cord and coin are in a state of rest. When we kick the cord with our hand or fingers, the force act on the cord and change is a state of rest to that of motion. Due to that, the cord moves away from the mouth of the glass tumbler. However, the force of our flick does not act on the coin. So the coin continues to be in a state of rest due to inertia. So when the cord away, the coin falls into the tumbler because it to maintain is a state of rest due to the inertia. Do you understand this experiment? In Newton's first law, you know that a body at rest will remain at rest unless it is compelled by an external force. For understanding that, here I took tumbler and one cord and coin. When we apply a force on the cord only move away, but the rest of the coin fall into the tumbler. Because the force is not act on the coin, it's only act on the cord. So I hope you understood. This is the next example for the Newton's first law of motion. And see, here the vehicle is moving. When we apply a sudden brake, we are in a motion. So bike was stopped, the body continued to in motion. So the moving object continued to in motion unless it is compelled by the external force. And the next one, force. So Newton's first law of motion gives us a definition of force. The force is nothing but a force is something which changes or tends to change the state of rest or of uniform motion of a body. So by the force we can change the state of rest or state of motion. From this we can say that force is a vector quantity having magnitude and as well as direction. So Newton's first law gives the definition of force. The definition of force is something which can change or tends to change the state of rest or uniform motion of a body. The next topic is momentum. Every moving body possesses momentum. If bicycle is moving on the road, means the bicycle possesses momentum. All the vehicles, what are the vehicles are moving in the road, all the vehicles possess momentum. Not only the vehicles, if object is moving, means that object must possess momentum. So what is that momentum? In order to understand Newton's second law of motion, we should first know the meaning of the term momentum of a moving body. Here I took one cricket ball and one tennis ball. Comparing to the tennis ball, the cricket ball has more mass and the tennis ball has less mass. When I throw the cricket ball and tennis ball with the same speed, I have to give more force to stop cricket ball than the tennis ball, because the cricket ball has more mass. So from this we can say that the force is directly proportional to the mass. If the object have more mass means we need to have more force to stop that more mass moving object. So from this we can say that the force is directly proportional to the mass. More mass means more force, less mass means less force. In second one, here I took the cricket ball, the same cricket ball. So this ball also has more mass and this is also have more mass. But I throw with a different speed. So the which ball having the more speed, I have to more force to stop. The same as if the low speed ball, we have to stop with low force. So from this we can say that the force is directly proportional to the velocity, that means directly proportional to the speed. If a more speed means we need to more force to stop that. If a less speed means we need to give less force to stop that object. So throw with higher velocity, more force is required. And throw with lower velocity, less force is required to stop. So the quantity of motion in body depends on mass and velocity of the body. Here we discussed now the forces depends on the mass and also velocity. So we can say that the motion of your body depends on the mass and velocity. So this gives us another term as known as momentum. The momentum is nothing but a momentum of your body is defined as the product of your mass and velocity. So momentum we can write mass into velocity. The mass is represented by the letter m, velocity is represented by the letter v. The momentum is represented by the letter capital P. So capital P equal to m into v. The m represent mass and v represent velocity. The momentum is nothing but every moving body possesses momentum, and P equal to mv. It depends on the mass and also velocity of the body. So mass is measured in kilogram and velocity is measured in meter per second. So the SI unit of momentum, we know that momentum equal to mass into velocity. The SI unit of mass is a kilogram. The SI unit of velocity is meter per second. So the unit of momentum is a kilogram meter per second. And see, every moving body possesses momentum. The momentum depends on the mass and velocity of your body. So your body will have large momentum. P equal to m into v. If mass is large means the momentum also large. If velocity is large means the momentum also large. If both the mass and velocity are large means the momentum also large, because the momentum is directly proportional to the m and directly proportional to the v. If m increased means the momentum also increased, the v increased means the momentum also increased. Do you understand what is meant by the momentum? Yes. What are the application of momentum? Look at this image. This is a karate player. How an karate player can break a pile of tiles or a slab of ice with a single blow of his hand. So, when a karate player strike the pile of tiles with his hand very fast. So very fast means the velocity is the speed of the object is more. When the speed of the object is more, the momentum also more, because the momentum is directly proportional to the velocity. So due to the large momentum of his fast moving hand, now with a single blow of his hand, he break the pile of tiles. The next law is Newton's second law of motion. What is meant by Newton's second law of motion? In first law, we know that the object remains at rest. The moving object will continue in motion. If you applied a force, so what would happen? The object will move. So this gives the second law of motion. The second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum, the momentum means motion, the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied force in the direction of the force. Example, if you take any object, it is at rest. When I applied the external force on this object, the object move in the direction of the force. It does not move in the opposite direction of the force. This is our force direction. So the object also move in the direction of the force. It does not move in the opposite direction of the force. If the force is more means the momentum of the object also more. So we can say that the force is equal to m into a. The m is represent the mass of the object, a represent acceleration. So the second law of motion states that a rate of change of momentum of an object, the rate means time. The rate of change of momentum of an object is directly proportional to the applied force in the direction of the force. If the force is more means the acceleration also more, because the force is directly proportional to A and force is directly proportional to M. We learn that. And homework question, what is the SI unit of momentum? What will be the momentum of a body of mass m which is moving with a velocity v? The third question, the inertia of a moving object depends on momentum of the object, speed of the object, mass of the object, shape of the object. The fourth question, a plastic ball and a clay ball of equal masses traveling in the same direction with equal speed strike against a vertical wall. From which ball does the wall receive a greater amount of momentum? The fifth question, a moving bicycle comes to rest after some time if we stop pedaling it. But Newton's first law of motion says that moving body should continue move forever unless some external force acts on it. How do you explain the bicycle case? Thank you for watching. the next class we are going to discuss the mathematical formulation of second law of motion. Take your science book and open chapter number 9, Force and Laws of Motion. See, this is a statement of Newton's first law of motion. An object remains at rest in a state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. And this is an example for Newton's first law of motion. The next 9.3, inertia and mass. And the momentum was explained P equal to mv, and momentum has both the direction and also magnitude. The SI unit of momentum is kilogram meter per second. And see the next one. The second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of the force. The next class we will see the 9.4.1 mathematical formulation of second law of motion. Thank you for watching. If you have any doubt in these topics, you can ask through the teachment session. Thank you.